Welcome back to another episode of the Deadly Podcast Kung Fu. Probably not used to a cold open like this, but a day after I recorded last week's episode on March 19th, Chuck Norris died not too long after his 86th birthday. And I kind of wanted to take some time to talk about Chuck Norris because I don't want to say without him because he was fairly new to the martial arts craze there in the 70s, but he had such a big impact on the martial arts scene after he broke through into movies and American action movies that he's really, it's kind of, in a way, while these martial arts books, like Deadly Hands of Kung Fu and Shang-Chi Master of Kung Fu and the Iron Fist books, and then Power Man and Iron Fist, and Richard Dragon, and all these Kung Fu heroes at the time were big into comic books, along obviously with the help of Bruce Lee, where most of them are originated from. But Chuck Norris is a big part of also my childhood. If you were a kid that was born in the 80s, probably up to the mid-90s, he was a part of your childhood for sure, because you were probably in the action movies, and he was everywhere. I mean, he was in Marvel Comics, and that's kind of the reason why I would have done this. And most people probably watched Walker, Texas Ranger, if you were a kid or an adult in the 90s, because I think, honestly, that's what he's mostly known for. That's what I used to watch him as all the time as a kid. And then everybody's got favorite Chuck Norris movies. Like, mine growing up was Octagon and Hero and the Terror. And I love Delta Force. And I just watched Delta Force the other night, and I realized, oh my God, why did I love this as a kid? Like, none of the action starts until damn near when the movie's over. But, given the state of the world today and some of the themes of the movie, like, hey, that part I appreciate as an adult more than I do the corny action. But I wanted to take the time to talk about Chuck Norris, regardless of what you think about him. A lot of people will call him a racist and a bigot. Hey, and I get it. I mean, but still, you can't deny the impact that the man had on martial arts and action films in the 80s and early 90s. But I really wanted to talk about Chuck Norris because he is a staple in Marvel. He's first mentioned in Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, as there is an in-depth article but on Bruce Lee's movie Return of the Dragon, co-starring Chuck Norris, which we're talking about Way of the Dragon. And this issue was released in December of 1974. You might hear my kids in there. They're having them a good time, so I do apologize for them being loud. I do not apologize for them having a good time. Which is interesting, to get back on subject here, that he's brought up just in this interview, because Way of the Dragon did not hit the United States until about 2 years after it was released in China, which it hit America in August of 1974, which is probably about the time that this issue was being put together. So, relatively cool for him, being an unknown at the time, even though he was a good friend of and a confidant of Bruce Lee. So I thought that was some interesting stuff to talk about. And he didn't get a full-fledged issue dedicated to him until, about a year later, in Deadly Hands of Kung Fu number 20, which he graced the cover with a scene from Way of the Dragon where he is fighting Bruce Lee. And this whole issue is dedicated to him. And this is the special Chuck Norris issue with a cover by Ken Barr from the movie. It also has a black and white poster inside by Ken Barr of Bruce Lee versus Chuck Norris. I love that. If I can remember, I'll try to post that when this movie comes out. Because I'm thinking about the movie. When this issue comes out. But the whole issue is dedicated to him. So, there's a story for Iron Fist called Soul Slayer during the Firebird saga. You can go listen to podcast that. You can go check that out. The Sons of the Tigers story, A Beginning, which is the beginning of White Tiger. He just debuted in issue 19. Hector Alaya did. But this whole thing is Chuck Norris. Set your goals and pursue them. An exclusive interview with legendary martial artist Chuck Norris by Jim Whitmore. I like that he's a legendary. And he hasn't even starred in his first big film, which was Breaker, which is like a year after this. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Wonder if maybe he's filming this at the time. Then we have the IKL, The Revolution of Full Contact Karate, a follow-up interview with Chuck Norris, also by Jim Whitmore. So, this whole issue was dedicated to him. issue 20 of Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. You can probably find this if you're a Chuck Norris fan in your comic shops. Now, what might be a little harder to find is the Star imprint for Marvel Comics, the Chuck Norris Karate Commandos 4-part story from September of 1986. So this time he's like full-fledged martial arts star. Stallone, Schwarzenegger, and the up-and-comers like Van Damme, Steven Seagal. So like he's full-fledged martial arts megastar at this time for action movies. And he had his own imprint there for Star Comics for Marvel that went 4 issues. And I think I have the first issue of this. I might actually have all of this if I go dig through everything, because I haven't got everything online yet. But yeah, so Chuck Norris, man. History with Marvel, and I wanted to take the time to talk about that since this is basically a Marvel podcast. He was featured multiple times in Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, here and there, but the 2 main issues are the ones that I brought up, and this Karate Commandos book. So yeah, a staple in Marvel history, and I just think that's so cool. I mean, you look at Deadly Hands of Kung Fu number 20, which was published in January 1976, and they called him a legend. Boy, were they right, because literally a decade later, almost 11 years later, he has his own comic book series at Marvel. So, I mean, that just shows you how popular Chuck Norris was. And like I've been telling everybody, in the afterlife, look behind you, 'cause that's where the Ranger's gonna be. So let's go ahead and move on to the main event here with Deadly Hands of Kun-Lun number 2. But I'm going to talk about the future of this book, which has been spoiled by synopsis plots. Man, I can't even talk. I've had about 3 hours of sleep today. In regards to issue 4 mainly and issue 5. But we do know that the Leo Chiola covers do feature Lin Lee with his glowing iron fist. Very Andrew Kerr style from Living Weapon. And the other one is the new War Fist, which is his brother Lin Fong with Chi-Yu, the Dark Destroyer God of War, behind him. So the synopsis: the sword of a war god strikes and reality bleeds. The stakes have never been higher. The Kun-Lun saga explodes into its most epic chapter yet as Lin Fong embraces his dark destiny, and Lin Lee risks everything to stop him. With the return of Danny Rand and the legendary Mortal Weapons, shocking transformations, and a jaw-dropping new look for Iron Fist. This issue sets up the stage for a status quo shakeup that will reverberate across the Marvel Universe. Plus, Elektra, Arrow, and White Tiger join the fight in a showdown that will leave fans breathless. Don't miss the moment that changes the future of Kun-Lun forever. The spoiler cover for this is Lin Lee. I really love this cover. And he's crouched down. He's holding his arm, which has been severed off around the bicep. And below him is the symbol of Shao-Lao, the Undying, and it's all blood. So, and I had made the joke that Iron Fist throughout Marvel, we got Danny, we've got Davos, and we've got Lin Lee. They should just be in Star Wars movies, because they always get that right arm lopped off. And you know, and I made a joke at that time. But when they just released the covers for issue 5, where we see Lin Fong standing over the armless, well, the one-armed, I should say, Lin Lee, the White Tiger who looks like she's sleeping because her eyes are closed in her mask, which is weird. And Danny Rand with all his chest hair, as it was pointed out. I guess that's a side effect of Egyptian necromancy. Something dawned upon me with this severed arm. Obviously, we know that Lin Fong needs those shards. He's been after them for the sword of Fushi and whatever the scabbard has to do with this whole story and the mix-up with the soul orbs of Chi-Yu. But it dawned upon me the other day when these covers were released. If you go back to Breeson's run on Iron Fist, which is Volume 5, I've been talking about how criminally underrated that book is, that whole series is. Chosin has a severed hand from a former Iron Fist that he uses to magically open a gate to Kun-Lun. Now, we know the Randall Gate technology they cannot use it to access Kun-Lun. None of the heroes can. Like, Lin Fong has him cut off. This is magical. This should work. So maybe Lin Fong takes the shards, gets the power he needs, but Danny recalls this moment, uses the severed hand and some magic, and can open a portal to Kun-Lun if they need it. Just saying. Now, the synopsis that come out these covers spoils even more of the final issue for Deadly Hands of Kun-Lun. A legacy reforged, a new villain debuts. Bleeding and outmatched, Lin Li faces his brother in a battle so cataclysmic it sends shockwaves through the 7 cities. What destiny will rise from the flames for the Iron Fist? And what new legend will be forged? Guest starring Loki, Danny Rand, Pei, Karnak, and Arrow, and heralding the terrifying ascension of the War Fist. Which I thought that was Fong's army were called the War Fist in issue 3 in the synopsis, but he is called the War Fist here. So I'm assuming he's not going to die. And I've already mentioned this in the review for issue 1, that I think that all of the War Fist are drawing chi from Chi Yu, much like Iron Fist draws his chi from Shao Lao. And we know that the immortal weapons are returning also after their death. So there's a lot here that is being spoiled before we're even getting that far, and I hate that. So if someone from Marvel is listening, please do not spoil solistics for these stories right after issue 1 is out. So, please, I would really, really appreciate it if you did not do that. Now let's go ahead and start breaking that stuff down here for the story itself. Titled The Breach, your writer is Yifeng Jiang. Your pencils go to Paco Medina and Alessandro Miracolo. They're also on duties for inks. You've got CC Dela Cruz as your colorist, Corey Patet as your letterer, and your editor is Mark Panacea. Your covers for this book are awesome. We have Davos and Lin Li squaring off in a very prismatic clash, which is done by Lionel Francis Yu and Federico Blee. And the other cover is these very energetic Leo Chiolo covers featuring Daredevil Elektra, and I love these things. But this only has one variant, which is wild. The first book had 3 variants. This one has 2. We know issue 3 has 3 variants because it's getting a Ultimate's Farewell cover featuring Ultimate Luke Cage and not Ultimate Iron Fist Shang-Chi, which is kind of strange. I don't understand that. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to that synopsis so we can start talking about this issue. Inside the throne room of Kun-Lun, Lin Fong orders his army in New York City to find the soul orbs while distracting Iron Fist. From high above, Sparrow leaps down to assassinate him, but she is caught by Tiger's faithful daughter, turned Chiyu's mad believer. The UT quickly throws a dagger, but Fong halts its momentum with telekinesis. Using the power granted by the Dark Destroyer, he unleashes it on Sparrow. Meanwhile, in New York, Lin Li's shards ache at the arrival of the War Fist. As Elektra and White Tiger fights him off, he is caught off guard by a mind-controlled Yi Yongyi and Mei as they attack him. Before he can be attacked from behind by Davos, Fu arrives to ambush him with his mech suit. But while Fu was suiting it up, he was distracted long enough for Pei and White Fox to use his gate to enter Kun-Lun. As they find the city in ruins, the young warrior discovers her master has fallen to the monsters Lin Fong unleashed. Put to her and Amy's surprise, Pei's Auntie Wan is still alive and is fighting for Sparrow's resistant forces. Unfortunately, it's the now mind-controlled Sparrow she is fighting. As the 2 young warriors join the fray, they find out that UT is not alone. With a crack of the whip to White Fox's face, Tiger's faithful daughter arrives with the necklace of Chiyu. Fearing they might be outmatched, Amy turns into a Kumio form to even the odds. In the throne room, Loki appears to see how Lin Fong's conquest is faring. The God of Stories questions the newly crowned warlord about the steps taken to achieve Chiyu's soul orbs. When Fong implies that the Dark Destroyer's will is only his to exercise, he realizes that Loki reeks of the dead. Back in the city, Davos and the War Fist break away from the fight. As Lee questions where Pei and White Fox went to, Fu informs him they used the Randall Gate and broke it when going to Kun-Lun. With no time to waste worrying, the heroes chase Chiyu's minions into a building. As Steel Serpent tries to access the gateway technology in the upper floors, both Karnak and Arrow emerge to stop him from using it. So, got some questions. I have concerns. But my favorite part of this issue is Pei. I love that we get to learn a little bit more about Pei. To a degree, nothing major. But it is cool that we see the medallion from Wayward Warrior make its appearance in here. Because it took me a moment. I was like, what is this disc? Like, and I thought her Auntie Juan was throwing it, and it was almost like they were kind of leading it, chasing it back to her. But no, I was like, wait a minute. Is this her medallion? It is. Forgot all about that. But I like that she sees Amy as like a big sister. Like, she even mentions, like, I wish Lynn was the senior she is. Like, taking charge. And that's kind of been the theme for Lynn Lee in this book, is taking charge. And not worrying so much about what's going on around him and how it should be done, but just, actions need to solve what's going on immediately. And we see that also when White Tiger unleashes her new power, and we'll talk about that later. But we do get to see that she finds her master is slain, who has killed a bunch of monsters, including one of them giant centipedes we've seen at the end of Shattered Sword and earlier in issue 1. And her master seems like a badass. We don't learn the master's name, and I don't even think we've ever learned it at all throughout Pei's history since she's been back. But she's talking about how, like, she used to eat the treats for here, and then she finds her Auntie Juan, pastry warrior, and she's beating up on some monsters with a meat cleaver. I love that we get to meet this character, and that she is part of Pei's history. But unfortunately, she is fighting Sparrow, who's been controlled by this necklace that Lin Fong had that took over Tiger's faithful daughter. And so there's a fight that breaks out between them. Tiger faithful daughter seems like she's almost too powerful for White Fox. And I don't know if that's because if she catches her off guard, but it is kind of implied that maybe she is the one that killed Pei's master. And them two just kind of square off until we see the necklace that Tiger's faithful daughter had in issue 1. She holds it up and unleashes all this power. And it takes over everybody around her, even Auntie Juan. So my question was like, okay, we didn't see this necklace take over Sparrow, right? So how did that happen? Then I'm like, well, if this is site-based, because it seems like it is right here. So Faithful, she holds it up. She says, look at Chiyu's mark. Embrace him. Join us. And then Amy jumps in front of Pei. Pei, get behind me. And she turns into her Kumio form. And Sparrow says, the charm doesn't work on the fox demon. Such a magnificent beast. And Faithful says, I really don't want to ruin her pretty fur. So she's immune to it, and she is literally blocking the light of sight to Pei from seeing the necklace. So this makes sense why the necklace wouldn't work on Sparrow, because she has no eyes. Her brother took them, Davos, the Steel Serpent. So that would explain why she got blasted by Lin Fong to control her. So I thought that was an interesting way to kind of put all that together without just telling you. That's, to me, that's good storytelling. I can't complain about that at all. My other favorite part of this is Fu, and the Fu Buster. Is that what we're gonna call this mech? It doesn't get a name, but man, does it look cool. I think this thing is pretty awesome, and I'm gonna go with the Fu Buster. And he kind of shed some lights about the interdimensional travel that I've seen a problem with, or I feel that there's a problem with. I mean, there might be more to this that's just not explained yet. But, and I will go ahead and just get to that. So when the gateway is opened up between Kun-Lun and New York with the tower, as I expected from Kun-Lun, the giant tower, he says, oh, so Fei Long shoved the whole tower of Kun-Lun through that portal. This could be the physical breach I need to bypass his magic. We're going back home. So we know that now it's his magic that is cutting off travel to Kun-Lun. And because that's not really kind of said at the end of Shattered Sword, or there's nothing that's really brought up at the end. But it's a physical manifestation that's through there. Now, we know his magic is what's sealing it off. But we know that Loki has to be getting through somehow, which I would assume is magic too, because he's a god sword. He's pretty powerful in his own right. And I kind of brought this up at the beginning of the episode that I'd posted online with Lin getting his arm cut off. And if you go to Breeson's run on Iron Fist, like Volume 5, whatever issue that is, Chosen uses a severed hand of an Iron Fist to open a gateway to Kun-Lun magically. So magic seems to be the way that's there, and I don't know why they just couldn't get any other magic user to maybe open a portal, or maybe it's the fact that most magic users haven't been to Kun-Lun. I don't know, but that seems to give us an idea of why they can't get there. It's being blocked by magic, and you need a physical way to break through that magic without being a god. So that's just kind of what I'm putting together based on just what he had said. But we know that the Rand Gate is working, so because Pei and Amy use it at this time to go through, so because they broke it. Now this makes me wonder if Sparrow was using it to go to Kun-Lun and maybe Fu wasn't aware, but that still doesn't explain how Yi Yong Yi and Mei and the rest of the Kun-Lun people got there. So still, this doesn't make any sense to me. It's all very confusing, and it's not laid out very well. Or maybe it's just overlooked. I have no clue. But I do love this suit. I love that he smashes Davos into the ground with it. And he brings all these weapons. I love this. He says, I feel like that old guy from the mall who stole Luke Cage's catchphrase. Sweet Christmas, ho, ho, ho. So maybe that's a hint to the Power Man and Iron Fist Sweet Christmas special, which I have covered. And it's here on the podcast. If you want to go listen to it. And I love that he's got these cool shades on. They're like red goggles. Gives him a very Tony Stark feel, like when you see Tony like driving around in a car and stuff. So I thought that was really cool. That's my Blink camera. Let's go ahead and turn my ringer off my phone. So yeah, I love both of what we see at this special Pei. Like, I hope we get more centered on Pei in each issue, just kind of like her own thing like this. Because clearly it looks like she's going to be her and Amy's going to be set up to fight Lin Fong eventually, or she's just going to be squaring off with these two while Lin deals with everything in New York. So, and just these interactions, like, so we see Yi and Mei, who are possessed, go after Lin Lee. I need more of this. I wish there was more to it than just these two panels. And I remember I had mentioned, like, I would like to see Yi as an Iron Fist. And his little tag here is, would be Iron Fist. I love that. Me Min says staff-wielding aspirant. That should be more towards, like, Thunderer. Needs to be added to that, based on what we know. And I wish we would have got more out of them. And then Davos. Lin Lee, I am Davos. This is my fist. I do not like this dialogue from Davos at all. The dialogue with him does get better throughout the book, but, like, this part, I don't care. We'll talk about more about Davos here in a little while. And then, like, interactions, man. I talked about how I wanted to see more with Pei and Lee get trained with Danny before all this took place. And, like, there's this moment where his shards hurt because of the War Fist and all the power of Chi-Yu. He says, ignore the pain, press it down. Focus, Lin Lee. What has Pei taught me? What would Danny do? And they are in Hell's Kitchen at this point, with what I'm about to get to. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. Now open my eyes. Look around. Focus on the present. See, to me, he should reference Daredevil. I mean, he is working with another Daredevil. Like, I wish he would have focused on that. And, man, that's something I wish I would have got more of, was to see everything after Painful Lesson in that Daredevil book. Like, so just Lee training with Daredevil some on this. Like, and I don't know why you wouldn't make that reference when Elektra is dressed like her Daredevil gear, like right there. Like, that should have been made. More interactions we needed there. Speaking of Elektra, her and Ava. So, Lecture starts mentioning that this is war. Good, let's make some space for you. White Tiger, that crazy move you've been bugging me about? Wait, crazy? Don't risk it. This is war, Iron Fist. White Tiger, do it. And she unleashes this sonic roar, and like we see kind of like waves, like sound waves, come out from the Tiger God's like embodiment behind her, and there's this big roar. And she says, whoa, my skull's ringing, but totally worth it. My first thought is like, is this a move that you would see in Rivals? Because everybody wants her to be in Rivals. And I'm like, wait, she's not in Rivals. So that doesn't make any sense. But still, more interactions. How long has these two been teaming up? Because last time we seen Ava, and I know you White Tiger fans were excited about this moment. Because when I seen this, I was like, I know some people that's going to be happy. But the last time we seen her was in Reborn. We never seen these powers develop. We don't get any of this. We don't get this little team up with her and Elektra. Like, why has, like, we need this interaction. We need to see this. Like, I can read between the panels and realize, hey, there's stuff that's going on here in between this time and this time, but, like, I need to see that. It's nothing a short story on Marvel Unlimited wouldn't help to cover. I mean, again, we need to see these things as fans. Us fans don't get a lot of these characters. Like, literally, Elektra is the most popular character in this book. The most well-known character in this book by far. Like, it would not hurt just to put Ava in a Marvel Unlimited book with her just to see these two come together. Unless I'm wrong and this happened before Reborn and I'm just not aware of it. But I don't think so. But yeah, interactions here, man. I need more of this stuff, especially stuff in the past. So, otherwise, all my problems with this book are still the stuff I had from the portals. I brought that up. Chi-Yu soul orbs doesn't seem to be a big focus in this book, even though that's why we think that the War Fists are here. And, we'll get to all this right now. So, one thing that did catch my attention, I was like, where's Shao-Lao been this entire time? Like he is still summoning the sword with the chi, but he talks in this last issue and this issue about how he's having a hard time reconnecting. So, they're talking, Lin Fong and Loki. Fong says, the previous Overlord Sparrow, Faithful, turned her. They're taking care of the resistance right now. Loki replies, about time. You did use their dragon and made them very desperate after all. So, this makes me think that maybe Shao-Lao has been corrupted by Chi-Yu. I could be wrong. The influence of Chi-Yu, I should say just not him. And maybe, because like I brought up in the last issue, like the Chi of the Dragon flows through everyone in Kun-Lun. That's some of the stuff that we had gotten out of like the Living Weapon. And if Lin Fong was able to corrupt Shao-Lao the Undying, his chi flows through everybody. That would explain why we have all these War Fists. That would explain why Yi Yang and Mei are mind controlled. Doesn't explain why Sparrow wasn't mind controlled. Or maybe just having the chi in them makes them more susceptible to mind control. Because Sparrow, as at 1, she was trained by Li Kung, the Thunderer, her father. So that would make more sense why she's more mentally controlled. Or, like I said, it could just be a sight thing. Kind of like how I mentioned that, like, she can't see the symbol of Chi-Yu, and White Fox blocked Pei from seeing the symbol of Chi-Yu. And the older stories where you would see Shao-Lao the Undying during the Iron Fist, like, you could see his brand on his underbelly. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the dragon, and then we see the brand of Chi-Yu there. Or somewhere on the dragon. Because that little remark by Loki makes me think that's what's going on. The dragon itself, Shao-Lao, has been corrupted by Fin Long and Chi-Yu's energy. So speaking of Chi, let's talk about Davos. I didn't think about this in the first issue, but it dawned upon me here. Like, his fist is completely glowing. The one that got severed by Tiger's beautiful daughter, which is kind of weird that now Tiger's faithful daughter is corrupted. So, but anyways, seems like he's got Crane powers back. He's Crane champion again. I'm not sure, even though Kun-Lun was overthrown in issue 1, so, or maybe that's just how his powers were restored. I'm not really sure. We don't know, but he doesn't have the mechanical arm from the 1. He doesn't look all like he's got mechanical bits on him. So, but the gateway that they're not after the soul orb, which I thought was strange. It's this gateway, which leads to Attilan that the Inhumans are on, because like his chi literally opens this gateway. So can he open gates? That would kind of feed, because he was an Iron Fist at one time. He did take Danny's powers in their very first confrontation back in Marvel Team Up 63, 64. He's been in the Iron Fist before, so we know all this. Like, you can go check that out on the podcast. So does that kind of feed into the idea of taking Lynn's arm and using the severed hand to open a portal like in Breeson's Iron Fist run? Does this kind of give even more credit to that? Kind of seems that way to me by looking at it. But then we have the end of this book, which I did not want Karnak in this book. But I'm glad that they handcuff Arrow to him, because that's ties to Lin Lee. Still don't want Karnak. Don't know why he would want to do anything with the Inhumans, Lin Fong. But, so when he opens this gateway, Lin Fong says, yes. We kind of dropped the conversation about Loki smelling like the dead, because we know he's been to the Undercity and talked to Osiris and Danny Rand. Now, when Karnak and Arrow burst through the portal, the bottom panel across it, we see him say, what? So that right there makes me wonder, is he saying what to what he is seeing? Because I'm assuming he is looking through Davos's eyes and they're all telepathically communicated. But part of me wonders if this whole what is not Loki revealing something to him. Like, oh yeah, I've been to the underworld and here's Danny Rand and the other immortal weapons, because we know that's been spoiled, as I brought up at the beginning of the podcast. So I'm wondering if that's what that what is for. It's not so much the reveal of Karnak and Arrow, but, you know, because now we've got everybody split off. We've got a fight going on in New York. We got Pei and White Fox fighting against Sparrow, who she looks up to, and Tiger's faithful daughter. So we've got them squared off, and then Danny is in Kun-Lun, the son of Kun-Lun, squaring off, and the immortal weapons against Lin Fong. The whole reason that the immortal weapons are pretty much dead. So I could see that being that part. And speaking of Danny, no appearance in this issue whatsoever. That's probably going to irk some people. I get it. But I mean, if he shows up in this issue, cool. That's cool. Overall, I did like this issue. I didn't hate it. I felt better about this issue more than I did issue 1. I don't know if that's because there were so many plot holes that I was looking at, and I'm not sure if they how they're going to fix that, even though the Fu kind of gave a little sense to the interdimensional travel and whatnot, but it doesn't answer a lot of the questions, because just the appearances of Sparrow in Kun-Lun makes that even more confusing. So, like, how is she getting there? Because if she could get there, why would she just not take everybody with her to go fight Lin Fong? Because she knows that Lin Fong is there at the end of Shattered Sword. So yeah, that all that is confusing to me. But I did feel a little bit better about this issue than I did issue 2. So, because now we know where all of our players are, and we just don't know why that Lin Fong needs Attilan, or maybe he's just set out to conquering and he's not worried about Chi-Yu. That could be the case, because he's got all this power, and absolute power absolutely corrupts. So maybe that's just his plan. I don't know. But that'll wrap up this episode of the Deadly Podcast of Kung Fu. If you like the podcast, please check it out over at Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. The YouTube channel's up and running. I've got quite a few videos up there. I'm working on Deadly Hands of Kung Fu right now. And obviously, this episode will be there because I'm trying to keep the new ones posted as they come out there. But if you're on YouTube, you like music, check out Russian Tiger by Kuro. You go check me and Bubba out on Bubba's Crazy Dinos. We're getting real close to 2,000 subscribers. He's having a good time, so am I. But most importantly, guys, support your local comic book shops and keep reading comics.